Hard to believe this much has happened since Ohio State beat Texas in the CFP National Semifinal back on January the 10th of this year. Two new coordinators in Columbus. Of course, Brian Hartline's not new to the program, but new to the play calling role. Matt Patricia comes over with a ton of NFL experience. Both programs saw a ton of guys drafted. Arch Manning, Julian Sayin will get their starts. Young guys, first true test, and what a test it is, especially for Ohio State. You're playing against a Texas team that is ranked #1 in the preseason AP for the first time. There's just no way to hype this game any more than it's already been hyped.
Right. I mean, it could be a preview of the national championship. I mean, it's a rematch of the college football playoff. And I mean, this is a snapshot. Even with all the guys they lost to the NFL, we're looking at a ton of future NFL players. So if you're a fan of college football, fan of football, even if you're not, you'll have fun watching this game.
All right, so the biggest story for Ohio State is Julian Sayin getting the nod. It was what we expected, though Ryan Day made it clear that Lincoln Kienholz pushed Sayin through most of summer practice. This was the decision, though, that ultimately Day decided is best for this offense, which will have a very new look at running back, but Jeremiah Smith still out wide.
Yeah, and honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if we see some packages with Kienholz in this game, just because of his rushing ability, particularly down in the red zone when the numbers get swayed and the field gets a little bit tighter. It's an advantage to have a quarterback run. But I was not shocked for them to announce Sayin as the starter. And really the reason is why is because of all the talent, because of Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate and Max Clare, who I think would be the favorite to win the Mackey at this point. You need a guy that's like a point guard, a true point guard that can distribute the ball on the outside. I think the key to this game is going to be Sayin and Hartline working in unison against Pete Kwiatkowski, the Texas defensive coordinator, who did a great job of taking away Jeremiah Smith in that playoff game. It's going to be a chess match. Why Ohio State was able to beat Texas, it wasn't on the back of Jeremiah Smith. Carnell Tate stepped up. Emeka Egbuka stepped up. They were able to win their one-on-one matchups. Of course, Texas is going to do the exact same thing. They're saying this is a new quarterback. Their wide receiver coach is their OC. They're going to want to get the ball to Jeremiah Smith. I fully expect him to be double-teamed once again. Carnell Tate, they probably watched that film and said, maybe we need to double-team him as well. So there's both your safeties helping your corner on the outside wide receivers. That leaves a linebacker on Max Clare. That is the key matchup in this game on third and medium, or if you need an explosive play. I don't think there's many safeties that can cover Max Clare. To me, his comp is Colston Loveland, who we obviously saw get picked extremely high in the NFL draft. If Texas leaves a linebacker, which just from a pure number standpoint, they probably have to, that's the matchup Sayin and Ohio State have to go to.
I think Hartline as the play caller is a fascinating storyline, and not just because it's Julian Sayin, because it's Texas defensively, a really talented team. You would love to have an opener in which he can kind of tinker a little bit with the play call, see what works best. That is not this kind of opener. So I'm fascinated also, Jake, to watch how the relationship and the dynamic is between Hartline and Ryan Day, the head coach, the previous play caller, who obviously still has a big-time dog in the fight of play calling if the offensive play calling doesn't jump off the page right at the start.
Well, that should help smooth things out, too. And what a luxury. Like, those guys have such a great relationship. I mean, it was spoken at length last year that Chip and Ryan's relationship was extremely beneficial for the offense as a whole. I think the fact that this is home for Ohio State is a major plus. And the reason is why it's Patricia's first time calling plays as Ohio State's defensive coordinator. So Ryan Day held like a mock game walkthrough where Patricia and Hartline got in their game day positions, whether it's in the booth, all the assistant coaches down on the sideline, and they got to practice the game day operations of what it's going to be like this Saturday. The communication from coordinator to quarterback or coordinator to green dot on the defense, coordinators to head coach, just the opportunity to have that familiarity walking into the stadium should help smooth things out, though of course it's going to be a big test.
Do you know that mock game? They did everything as if it were a game. They sang Carmen, Ohio at the end. Yep. They made sure going in and out of the locker room, it was exactly the way that they would do it on a game day Saturday. I mean, if that doesn't tell you that you have a monster week one matchup, I don't know that anything else does. The matchup defensively, you're going to have a new DC and a guy who obviously, as I mentioned, most of his experience is from the NFL, not from college football, going up against one of the most talked about quarterbacks who's never really been in a situation like this before. He's never been in a serious game before. Arch Manning comes in with a ton of hype, and your first game is against Ohio State inside the horseshoe. I know the Buckeyes lost a ton of talent to the NFL draft defensively last year, but I'm not sure you could ask a young man to be in a tougher spot than Arch Manning is in this weekend.
I guess probably the good thing for Arch is when you grow up as a Manning and you play quarterback, you've carried a massive weight on your shoulders. And listening to him, he's cool, calm, and collected. But Rick, you're exactly right. And especially on the road, working those game day operations. I played there in 2016, number 2 versus number 3. I'm tight end. So I'm really, from me to you as the quarterback, I could not hear our snap count. Like that is a serious challenge about being on the road. But I think one of the key matchups to consider here, this is going to be a back and forth game. Texas is going to make plays. Ohio State's defense is going to make plays for sure. But Arch is extremely athletic for a man. That's not something we could say about Peyton and Eli. His legs are viable. The speed of Ohio State's linebackers in Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese, I think this is the most athletic linebacker room Ohio State has had probably ever. I mean, those guys are extremely, so their ability to close gaps and chew up the turf in space when Arch leaves the pocket is going to be critical. And then the other thing is Caleb Downs. Obviously, you can only have 11 guys on defense, right? But Caleb, to me, almost gives you a 12th defender. And the reason is why is he's listed as a safety. So he can line up 10 yards past the line of scrimmage in a safety position. But his football IQ, his football instincts, and his closing speed and athleticism allow him to read and trigger where within a split second he's an extra linebacker in the box. Or he can drop to 12 yards in the curl to hook zone. And if they want to throw a check down in the flat, he triggers and makes the play right away. He kind of tips the scale in Ohio State's defense because of how talented and versatile he is and because his football IQ unlocks all that talent.
I think the back seven is ready to do the job. You mentioned some of those guys, Styles, Downs, Davis Igbinosun, a guy back there who Ryan Day says has to step up and have a huge
Devin
year.
Sanchez, another freshman we get to see.
Up front, though, a lot of losses. You have to get pressure. You have to make a young quarterback uncomfortable when he's in your stadium. And the best way to do that, to help that back seven, to get pressure. We'll see if a new-look defensive line can do that on Saturday inside the shoe.